So G.I. Joe isn't a toy line that I normally dip my toes into, just because from a story perspective, I'm not that invested into it. My thing is like Batman, Star Wars, or some video games or whatever that never get action figures made of them because I guess there's just not a market for that. But as the years have gone on, I've been more and more open to other franchises, I guess you could say, based off purely just because I think they look cool. You know, since I have adult money now, I can just kind of buy almost whatever I want as long as I'm not being an idiot. And I could branch out and just buy an action figure simply because I think it looks cool, not because I have some pre-existing attachment from the source material it comes from or whatever. And you know, Star Wars is getting pretty boring right now. I don't think it's gonna get any better. So I took a look at some G.I. Joe figures a while back, and I bought like a Snake Eyes and the Alley Viper from the Classified series. And so I kept an eye on this toy line just because, you know, you do have a lot of possibilities to get really cool looking figures from a property like G.I. Joe. There's not a whole lot of, you know, realistic military toy lines out there, which is kind of sad because I feel like they could cook up some really cool stuff. You know, war is bad and everything, but if you've looked at the military, they just have some really cool stuff in there. That's why I love a really good Call of Duty toy line, but I doubt we'll ever get that. So G.I. Joe is the next best thing, and you know, I say that, but it's been a pretty popular toy line for decades. This is Beachhead. This is the classic, like the retro collection version of the figure. I'll show you the card back, but basically I just utterly destroyed it. It's a really cool looking card back. I like the style. I had to destroy it in order to open up the figure. I just wanted like a cool military looking dude, and I think his whole backstory, I've read the wiki page on this guy. He's like an army ranger or something, and you know, it's kind of like that generic, he's very determined and cares a lot about his men, but he's also willing to do anything to, you know, get the victory or whatever. So, you know, G.I. Joe is kind of shallow in a lot of ways, in that it was invented just to sell toys to kids. And so there's not a whole lot of backstory or substance to it. But there's actually been a lot of G.I. Joe material that's come out since then. And I know some of it is pretty good. I'm not coming at it from a perspective like I am with Star Wars or Halo or Batman, where I know all the characters and I'm super invested in the story. No, I just think he looks cool, so I bought him. And one of the staples of G.I. Joe figures is that they come with a lot of accessories. So which a lot of other toy lines don't, but basically everything that you see on the figure here, almost everything, can be removed. So you've got this holster with a pistol which can be removed, and you also have a silencer for the pistol which can be removed, which is crazy that they have a holster even for the suppressor. I think that's cool because, you know, a lot of the times when you get accessories with figures, there's nowhere on the figure to place that accessory. You just gotta like throw it all in a bag or something. But with G.I. Joe's, normally if it comes with an accessory, there's a place on the figure where you can put it. There's also 2 whole knives which each have their own sheath, one here on the boot and another one on the side right here. You have the main weapon the figure comes with, which is like this World War II looking SMG. I don't know exactly what it is. Obviously, it's like a fictional gun. It's not real. But you can remove the magazine on it, which is really cool. And you can also remove the barrel. I don't know if this is also supposed to be a suppressor. I'm not super familiar with guns because I spend all my money on plastic instead. You also get this weird miniature crossbow thing. I don't know what this would be called. I don't know why you would really use it in a modern military setting or whatever setting this is. It's just a questionable thing. But you know, with G.I. Joe, the characters are, you know, it's kind of unrealistic. It's kind of cartoony in some ways, and so characters will just have gimmicks that they have just to make them more unique. You also get a couple of smoke grenades, and you do get this satchel as well, which can be placed on the figure. Don't really care about that. It dangles around a whole lot, so I'm not super into it. And then you also have this backpack which has a bunch of molding done on there. There's not a whole lot of paint apps on this figure because G.I. Joes are supposed to look more simplistic, and I believe with this figure they're trying to replicate the original version that came out decades ago, who knows when. And so the colors are going to be a lot more vibrant and a lot more simple instead of just having all of this detail. They want to make it look like it came out a few decades ago, which I would say they accomplished. It's a pretty cool looking figure still, but you can tell it's supposed to look like it's from a comic or something like that. And the backpack can be removed. You also get a stand for the figure. It's just this black slab, nothing crazy. And since it is a larger figure at the 6-inch scale, I don't know why they included a stand that was so small. He just looks kind of stupid standing on that, so I'm not really going to use it. I don't like it. And I'm actually pretty satisfied with buying this figure just based off the cool factor. It is a very cool looking figure. I do really love the colors on this thing. He looks like some sort of jungle commando. And the sculpting is done really well too. I think everything looks pretty proportional. That's something I've always really enjoyed about all the G.I. Joe classified figures, is that they're just good looking figures. I've never seen anything wrong with them where I'm like, that's ugly. You also get a good amount of detail on that mask that's going over the head, the balaclava or whatever that's called. There's seam lines sculpted in there, so it's not just the same texture across the whole thing. You can see it's a bit smoother in front of the mouth, and the rest of the body is done like that. You can see there's lines above the wrist right there to show the cuffs of the jacket or whatever he's wearing underneath. The only thing I wish they could have done differently is maybe add a bit of extra paint on that belt right there, because it's just the same color of brown as the pants and it looks a little bit goofy. And when it comes to the articulation, they weren't slacking off either. You get butterfly joints on the shoulders, which work pretty well, but you cannot get the arm to move across the chest. There's a cut right beneath the shoulder right there. You do get past 90 degrees on the elbow, and there's going to be a ball hinge, I believe, on the wrist. It's not letting me do anything with it, but you can see there is a ball hinge right there. Head articulation is pretty good as well. He can look down that much, look up a pretty good amount, and we get some side to side as well. And that neck is going to be separately articulated from the head, so you get 2 whole joints in there, which is really nice. Torso articulation you can't do too much with because of the vest he's got on and the belt. They're just going to be clashing too much, but there is just a normal hinge underneath there. I don't think there might be a ball joint at the lower waist, because there is a little bit of side to side there. So you can get some articulation out of it, but it's not going to be a whole lot. The hips are just ball joints. You can get a lot out of those. Knees are double jointed. They go past 90 degrees. And you do get a ball hinge on the ankles, which allows for a swivel, head up and down, everything you need there. There's also a swivel on the boot. And I believe there's also a swivel on the thigh right there, but you're not going to really get much out of it. It's very stiff on my figure. So overall, this is a really good figure. I like it a lot. The articulation's good, sculpting, paint is really good. Overall, just a cool action figure to add to your collection. But that's about all I have to say about it. You know, it's just a solid, it's all around good action figure. And like I said, I really just bought it because I thought it looks cool. And I think for, you know, what I wanted to get out of it, I think it was worth it. So all in all, pretty good figure. I recommend getting it. That was the G.I. Joe Classified Series Beachhead. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.